Then she said her parents stinged her, or stinged the school. They were stingy with their kids and wouldn't give them to the school because they were afraid that if their kids went to school, they would become hiya, lazy. Is that funny or what? They don't think of a school as a place where you actually do work. They think of it as a place that makes kids lazy.
And she said she would help her mom.
Yes. So her parents wanted her to help them to learn, to learn the ways of the forest, to learn how to live off the land. And it's true. I mean, kids who go to school, they tend not to do stuff like that, so it makes sense that they're seen as lazy. Shimandega? Shuftaku? Ask what we said, because Olivia had like 3 questions.
Okay, listen. Kaina Maite Viran.
Kaina?
Maite Virangi Kaina.
Kaina? Kaila Puriranchi. Maite Rimidio Gunata Ripusha. Chipanga Gunata Pamunaura. Baiguna Kaide Tandari Sharikungawa.
Chakra. So, did you understand what she said? Kailai, what does Kailai mean?
Kailai Puriranchi.
Kailai Puriranchi. What does Puriranchi mean? They traveled right here itself, okay? So she said they looked at Remedio Panga. Remedio Panga Tarikuranchi. Remedio Gunata Nya.
Kanya Agria Guna Nukanchinchi, Viru Kaspichi Gunata Pamuranchi, Panda Gunata Pamushika, Hawaii.
Yukanchi Apamuranchi Panga Remediota Hawaii. Ariku Chingao, in order to go up there and show them. Maybe on the overhead they showed images of them. Okay. So Puriranchi, right? We walked about here, Kaiyai, just right here.
Chita Paiguna, Banga Gunata, Kai Estudianti Guna, Alita de Bucanao. Lingo.
Alita. Okay, so she said these leaves, these are students, Alita dibuhanaura. What does that mean? Dibuhar is to draw. What is dibuhanaura? They drew well. Alita dibuhanaura. Hallelujah. Okay. Shimandaga? Neil?
Luisa y Elodia, Naga Maita Puringandichi.
Kailai Nukanchi Rimidio Gunata. Tomas Mascasha Puichita Kachiranchi Nukanchi Siripush. Chief Tomas Pay Manga Chirama Guna Tandasha Pasha Rama Ikichi. Chivi Nuku Simbi Upanga Muyota Nin Pushi Kuchirani.
So you were asking kind of the same question, right? Or was there a slight difference in what you asked? No, you asked, where did you walk? And somebody else asked, where did you go yesterday? So you asked, where did you walk? And they said, they also used another verb. They used the verb muyuna to circle around. Muyuriranchi. So muyurina. Muyurina is to circle around. Muyuriranchi, we circled about. Remedio Gunata Ripusha. Maskasha, looking. Okay. Notice that you can take the verb root and you can add sha to it, and it means in the process of. Maskasha, Ripusha, Puriranchi. Yeah, another question. Escuela.
Oh, okay. Elodia. Samba Waladuna Escuelata Rinalda.
Monavi Escuela y Viñascomano.
Chapai. Yukawawaguna Rin. All of them. Escuelai. In school. Winyashka. They've been raised. So winyana is to raise. and shka means it has happened. So all of her children,
今日が終わったり気に入ってスクエラよいばらに
escuelai huibarani. Huibana is another one of these verbs that means to raise. Is that from Spanish?
Which word was it?
Huibana?
It sounds like it could be the
Hmm?
well, Crusaders speak
Okay, maybe it's not from Spanish, or maybe it is from an old archaic form of Spanish. But she said escuelai huibarani. So chunga, she said she has chunga kids. How many is that? 10. Imagine putting 10 kids through school. Ali. Shimandaga? Alex?
Yeah, there's two parts on that.
Okay.
All right. Both Angun. Okay.
Kangona. Yeah. Tapuna the tapuna.
Hitoma Purirangichi.
Да.
Hitoma
Rixin.
Purirangichi?
Rixini kitota. Purin.
Chapa. So what does she say?
Yeah, but then
I'm familiar with Hito.
second part is Hitota Gustarangichi.
Inda nyukakusa kitomanda. Nyukakusa kitomanda.
So he asked them, what did he ask them? Did you like Quito? And she says, yes. And now she's saying, and moreover, my husband is from Quito. Her husband is actually not an indigenous person by birth. He's a Highlander. But he was raised by Achwar people. Her husband, there's a really interesting story about his life. His father was a trader.
Esteban Núñez Arab, Quito y Causa.
So her husband's father was one of these comerciantes who used to travel all along the river systems, trading and selling and buying things. He would bring products into the jungle that nobody could find in any other way. And he had his son Tito as well as a daughter. Anyway, when Tito was just a baby, a 6-month-old baby, he was found sitting beside his mother who was dead. And so the father, since he was traveling all the time, couldn't take care of her husband as a baby, so gave the husband to another couple, an Achwar couple, to raise. And then at a certain point when he saw that his son was just turning into a wild little guy being raised in the forest, he made him go to Quito to live. So that's why she's saying her husband's from Quito, because that's ultimately where his relatives came from. So her husband has a really interesting identity issue. I mean, he's very much like an indigenous person in a lot of his outlook on life, but then he got, sort of taken out of this environment and was sent up to Quito and had to go to formal schooling and everything, and he's got a lot of issues because of that. Sarah? He was about 12 or 13. So he'd been kind of raised from childhood as an indigenous person and then just wrenched out of this environment and sent up to Quito to live in what turned out to be a very harsh set of circumstances where he wasn't treated very nicely, even by his own sister. So he had a lot of issues as a young man, and anyway. So, I'm sorry, are you, okay, Limi, kunang shuktapo.
Can you use when, like imaura, for really long time ago things too?
Absolutely.
Okay. Luisa, imaura kasaringi.
Kazarangi.
Oh, kasarangi. Oh, yeah, kasarangi.
Nyuka imurasta kazararangi nyandi nyuka kusa. Ruku y kazararangi nyuka.
Rukui.
Inga 70 años. 72 años y kazararangi.
Okay, so she got formally married when she was 72.
Ya, papiña.
She got formally married when she was 72, but she was actually with her husband.
Sibenta kazararangi wawasha pishkade.
Ima watayu maurangi.
Nyuka paita pishkade.
Kamba kusawa.
Nyuka 14 años apigani pai.
So, but when she was 14, hapig ani, a catcher
Chunga
am I.
chusku watai.
Chunga chusku watai, hapig ani. I am a catcher.
Chawawasha. Ya apirani kusatan kama wani.
Because after her mother died, she got attached to her husband.
Doña Elodia, imaura kasarangi.
Kasararangi.
Kasararangi.
sawawa ini kazalaran.
Kimsa.
Nito kaya. Mukhang kazalaran namin ka. At kay manay ko na. Niya papinya, ichu, chunalya niya pana. Nay kung uri siya ruga kazarash. Ano na siya tirani siya.
Okay. After she had 3 kids, she became formally married. Only because her husband begged her, rogasha, okay, you've got the rogasha, yeah, kazararani paiwa, but she didn't want to get married with him because he had a bad temper and he would abandon her frequently. But he begged her and so she did. Ima watayu maurai Taiwan hatisha, kambakusa.
Oh, ini papinya pokoknya. Ini kan animal sing saja minyak mani kaya cicing watan.
She doesn't really know. She said we don't really keep track of our years when we're raised in the forest. It's interesting.
That's it.
Simandaga? Rebecca?
Alodia. Kamba wawaguna rinaura escuela bilingua.
Kamba Elodia? Kamba wawaguna escuelama rinaura escuela bilingüe?
Ay, escuela español. Hispan, namak hispan. Chila miyay para
So you're not going to like this answer. She said no, they didn't go to that kind of school. They went to a good school. It was just in Spanish. Did you want to ask?
Kanguna, Kai Changa,
Chat, pingulho. Ipish man kaiga, ipish aicha.
Ipish, okay, the calf is
Kaiga
called
pingulho.
ipish.
Tolho, pingulho tolho.
Pingulho, and I guess this part of the leg is the pingulho. Pingulho.
Ay,
Ipish.
Ichanga.
Kai Chang.
Kai changa. Okay. Changa is, I think, from the knees up. And then pingulho is down here, and then ipish is the calf.
What was the second one of those? I caught Ipish and Shanga, but what was the other one?
Oh, pingulho. Kai
Pingulho.
So this whole part of the leg is called the pingulho, and then the shin bone is called the pingulho tulio, the pingulho bone. Yeah. Simandaga?
Doña Luisa, imasna is how, right? Imagina ucliarin sachawagra.
Uyaring sachawagra.
Yeah.
Imagina uyaring ninguém? Sachawagra chamusha. Karu manda wakamu shing. Puma panakumupi. Nyukaru yawai sikara.
Yeah, sachawagra is a taper, and it's sounding ching, ching. If a puma is following it.
Chipa kai de puma mara que ruya algorum puma nina. Pai bakiru karu mando era tala. Kiro taparimushka shina. Nyukanchi ruya.
So do you know what she's saying?
No.
Kaibakiru uyarimu. It sounds toward our ears. It's sounding toward us. She's talking about the sound of its teeth. So I think when the puma is running, maybe its mouth is slightly open and the teeth are kind of crashing against each other. Kaibakiru nya.
Zambaya shashamu apana kumusha. Wagrat nyuka wai marani. Multimuyuta palhaço piorante Maria invitava Hawaii.
Hawaii,
Ruya Hawaii. Urpo mara. Urpo Hawaii no cantiorante. Pamba e mara paigati. wagratapanakmura puma. Nya ruyak algurun dari kungi mi chasnaru kukairu kukaisoniru kumarari.
So she's saying she was up in a high place where she could actually look down on all this happening. She saw the puma, and she's calling it algodong shina. What does that suggest? Algodong shina. Exactly. It's like the color of cotton. It's a very light colored puma. And so she's saying she could actually see it because she was up high.
Nuka multi palhaço piurani.
Multi muyuta palyanaura. Multi muyuta palyanaura. They were
Palhaço
harvesting.
piurante.
Multi muyu. So these multi muyu are apparently very nice fruits.
Sachaitian tupui muyu pina mikuma tia.
Interestingly, I think we talked about this before. When they talk about fruit, they often don't talk about eating it, but they talk about drinking it because it's so juicy. So multi muyuta palyara. Chi pumata talak. Yeah.
Uyarimura.
Uyarimura.
Jadi nyukan cinyavia apixamura pumaba. Wagrata. Tuh. Tuh. Nyekixamu. Puma. Pumuli. Punda. Nikir. Pai di kanya. Pai kasama. Rawai tatuk.
Can anybody figure out what she said so far? So what does nitina mean? She used the verb nitina. To press. So the puma is pressing, and it's kai. All right, chapa. Tus kanyong
Rawai topingam.
Rawaita upingao. Tus kanyong kaipi. What is that? Now here she's using kaipi instead of kai. Is it possible that the locative becomes B when the word that it's attached to is only one syllable? That's a possibility. So tus kaipi.
Kanera.
Oh, kanera. Kanina is to bite, right? But she's using it like in the present derivative. Kanyong. It is biting. Tus kungai. Rawaita upinga. What's rawaita upinga?
To drink?
In order to drink the blood.
Is tus the sound of the blood or the sound of the
Tus
biting?
is the sound of bursting and breaking into the flesh. Tus is one of these descriptive words for any kind of bursting. If you bite into a ripe fruit, it's called tus. So it's a very suggestive image, very graphic of the violence that is taking place. I'm sorry, it's very violent. You know, in linguistics, you're not supposed to use violent examples. The Linguistic Society of America got together, and one of the things they decided was no more examples where people are hitting or killing each other. So I'm afraid they wouldn't like these examples at all.
Ichilla wa watashi nariki chipuma ta washama parira kiroi kanisha. Rik tongo chupo tomara. Chaibimi ukto achkara. Tolong. Ya tugira paiwawa pa chimichari kemkarangawa.
Chapa. So she's such a wagrata?
Sacha wagrata ruputa.
She's saying that. Did anybody get that? What did she say? Sometimes you can tell by the gestures. What does this suggest?
Carry, put on her.
Yeah. So basically, what she's saying is that the puma took the sachawagra, aparira. He took it with its teeth. Shimandaga, and it flung it back. It sort of flung it backwards so that it was partly resting on its shoulders, and then it went off and took its catch down to its lair, I guess you'd say, its hole.
Uchupoto atumuru yamara. Chivi mashkara up. Maita uktoro.
Uchupoto nya uramashka.
Mana chayaura imaru ya chaibi uktoshka.
So Uchuputo is a tree, a big tree, and apparently there was a hole under the tree that it was using as its kind of nest, and it took its catch down there to eat it in privacy. So I guess so other animals wouldn't be as apt to disturb it.
Manjasha.
Okay, so Yukanchi rikusha wakauranshi. What does that mean? Yukanchi, Rikusha, we seeing that, we're